Hey everybody, Willis, what are you doing, buddy? Saying hi to that lady. All right, so I just dropped off my packages here at the post office. Today I thought today might have been Friday, and went to the post office, and they're closed. So I drove over here to the Goodyear post office, and dropped them in the slot here. And what do you know? At the exact moment that I'm leaving the parking lot, there's a hearse driving by, meets me at the front entrance, and we've got a big coagulation of traffic here now. And there's a big funeral procession. So where are they going? Should we get in line with them? Let's be part of the funeral procession here. So this whole line right here is a funeral procession. Got CRZ over here. My condolences to whoever died. Now, I heard there was one case of coronavirus here in Maricopa County. Is this or one death, I guess. Is this the person? Are they out even, oh, here we go. We got Mr. Police Officer here rolling up. Let's see, is this police officer or off-duty funeral escort? This will be about the 100th funeral escort that I've seen in the last few years. We'll go ahead and stop here at the red light. Yeah, I see you. I'm not going anywhere out of my way to follow these guys. This is my normal route home. Interesting timing. Which cemetery are they going to? I don't even know of any cemeteries that are around this part of town. And where are they coming from? It seemed like they were coming from like Estrella. It's a small town outside of Avondale here, just south of Avondale. Looks like a nice little town. They're all coming from out that way. Get in your car and fucking go then, man. This guy is stopping why? Well, we got some interesting video at least. This guy's telling me to hold up. You know, when I had to sell my daughter's van last month so we could pay the rent. And it was a white van, older van, 2000. Whoa! Camera drop. It was a 2000 Chrysler, like 150,000 miles on it. Hey, settle down, buddy. And the guy that just happened to buy it from me was part of a funeral procession business. They were the guys that carried the coffin, and that's what they were going to use the van for, to carry bodies. Those were the guys that showed up to my house to buy the van from me. All right, so we got this guy in the middle of the road here. Guy waving. Go ahead, buddy. Now, believe it or not, if you're not a targeted individual and you haven't gone through the trim of this, or what's called street theater, where if you tried to explain that something like this could be fake to other people, it would make you sound like a complete lunatic and make you sound like a jerk because you're saying that a funeral could be fake. Yeah, I see you, dude. Yeah, I see you. I see you, man. You could have gotten your car and took off by the time I got to you. And I'm not saying that's what this is. It could have just been a complete coincidence that at the exact moment that I pulled out of the post office, the hearse met me at the exit. So, and here's the explanation of how something this extraordinary, this big of a deal, how they would get 50 people in a line and have a fake funeral procession. It's called federal funding, and I believe this has been going on since Harry S. Truman was president. Federal funding, black operations, dark operations, whatever you want to call it, SAPs or USAPs, special access programs, unacknowledged special access programs. That way, they could basically control millions of people by employing them into acting roles. Remember that when the military gets deployed and we're overseas and engaged in war, they call it being in theater. Look that term up. In theater. And the more of this kind of stuff they do for federal funding, and just keep draining that federal funding and keeping the people that are complicit, that'll do what they say, the yes men, the people that will take orders without questioning, keep them employed, keep them on their side, keep them voting for their people they know that are going to keep them employed, whether they're living a real life or a false reality. So that's just a theory that I have. I'm not saying I'm some kind of insider or I have some kind of special clearance or anything, but I've gone through this for a long time, and you start to figure it out after a while. And then the more that you figure out, the crazier you sound to somebody that hasn't gone through this. And then that leaves the door open for whoever is targeting you to just call you delusional or schizophrenic. And it's a pretty genius system. Whoever thought up this whole thing. But it's the silent enemy that runs on plausible deniability. So those of you that go through this, and those of you that are watching this or listening to me right now, thinking to yourself, that makes no sense. Who would spend that much time and effort? Why you? All the standard questions. And you should actually be thinking that, but then do some research. Understand that people that want to get federal funding to stay in power and use different programs to just keep siphoning taxpayers' money out of their pocket will come up with some pretty extraordinary ways to do that. All right, Willie, you're probably going to bark at a few people. Here, let's see. Let's get... Excuse me, Willie. All right, flip this around here. All right. I'm just stopping to get some gas. So here on the west side of Phoenix, gas is, well, at this quick trip right here, is $2.79 a gallon. I remember, let's see, about, how long ago was it? I've been here for just about, man, coming up on 6 years now? So about 7 or 8 years ago, when I was in Oklahoma, gas was down under $2. I think it got down to like $1.50 or $1.60 or something like that. But I just heard that in Kentucky there was a place that had gas for 99 cents. People aren't out on the road right now as much. Seems like there's the same amount of traffic today as there usually is around here. But when people aren't out on the road, gas will go down. Then during the travel season, gas goes up. But be nice to see gas, especially if the petrodollar ends and we go back to the gold standard. Gas would go down considerably. I saw something recently that actually gas per barrel had gone down a lot. I don't follow the stock market too much. I don't have any stocks. Used to have a 401k. All that's gone. So I don't focus too much on that. Oh, looks like I'm full. Hold on. Okay, so as far as things changing in this world, it looks like a lot is actually happening. In the past 3 years since I've been researching this whole thing, trying to figure out what the hell is going on in the world, I've seen resignation after resignation after resignation of CEOs, big companies, one after another. The one I noticed the most the other day was the CEO of Lockheed Martin, and it was really interesting that the CEO of Lockheed Martin resigned, or I heard the news of them resigning, her resigning, on what would have been my dad's birthday. My dad used to work for Lockheed Martin. The story was he worked in private security, but I don't know if I really buy that story too much anymore. I think he might have been some kind of engineer out there, or jet mechanic. I don't know. Probably never know now. Who knows? But I've got a picture of him standing in front of the B-1 bomber out at Skunk Works with some actual guys that were in maintenance, mechanics. That's in the military or DoD world, the mechanics that work on the jet. Those guys are called maintenance. But that CEO stepped down. The CEO of eBay stepped down in September of 2019. CEO of Google, 23andMe. It goes on and hundreds of them, hundreds of them. And those are the type of people that don't just step down. A lot of people that make it to CEO, and I'm not saying all CEOs are psychopaths, but a lot of people that make it to the top of a pyramid seem to have psychopathic or sociopathic and narcissistic tendencies, and that's how they make it up the ladder so much. They don't mind stabbing people in the back. They're very smart, very convincing, and they will take somebody out or screw somebody over to get up that next rung on the ladder. And again, I'm not saying all CEOs. There's some people that make it up to the top with integrity and just good old-fashioned hard work, elbow grease. Let's see, do we get everything done we need to? Just post office right now. When I stop, I'll read through some of these comments. I'm sure there'll be some interesting ones. So, but I was talking about these CEO resignations, and there's just been a record number. Never in the history of our country has there been this many resignations of CEOs. And you have to think about it and think, would a psychopath slash sociopathic narcissist ever resign? Would they just be like, you know what, I'm good, I got this? Well, yes, they would eventually after their time was up and they just didn't want to do their job anymore. But would that many of them resign all at the same time? It just seems, it just doesn't seem like that would be something that happens. Why do these people have a red bow on their front door in April? I mean, almost April. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Oh, I sent on Instagram, I saw Dylan Monroe. Dylan Monroe is the guy that designed the Q map, that people call it the Q map. At Deep State Mapping Project, and I saw him post a bunch of images of the maps that he's designed, and watched a quick video about him. He was on a talk show with some guy talking about his maps compared to some of these other maps, and that Q map has been really helpful in my personal research, especially the purple part of the map, the long-term trauma-based mind control, the dissociative identity disorder, the MK Ultra type stuff, brainwashing. It's been really helpful in understanding what's transpired throughout my life, and a lot of other things on the map that have helped me realize what's going on. And I sent him a message and I said, hey, this has been great in my research. Basically said the exact same thing I'm saying right now. It's been great in my research. It's been very helpful understanding things that have transpired in my life. When I hosted the local area, Phoenix area QAnon meeting at my house a little over a month ago, somewhere around there, we used the map. We looked at the map and used that to research, talked with some people about some of the things that are on the map. And Willis was checking it out too. He liked it. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? So I just told him that. I said, hey, we used your map uh, during our meeting, went over some of the information. It was helpful. Thank you. And he actually messaged me back. And I don't want to say too much about the short interaction conversation we had, but uh, I don't know. Might be possible to do some kind of live stream or just do a recorded video conversation with him about that. Uh, I don't. Maybe in person. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. All right, I'm gonna check out some of these comments here. Diva 77379 asks, "Am I in Arizona?" Yes, I am. I am in Avondale, Arizona, which is right next to Goodyear, Buckeye, Tolleson. Uh, what else close by? Levine. Litchfield. It's basically the west side of Phoenix. About 15, 20-minute drive from downtown Phoenix. Deborah Kovac. Oh, you know what? I meant to take a photo earlier, Deborah. There was a big tractor trailer on my way to the post office that said Kovac Construction, Kovach. Mariposa P just says hello. Hello. If you're still here, how you doing? Brent Witten says, well, for sure, the deceased isn't a target. Wouldn't have had that many people at the event. Yeah, true. Jules T.I. asks a really good question here. It says, Mr. Barden, I have a question for you. If FISA goes down, will the targeting still continue? Well, from what I've read, the FISA court did not. It was not reinstated. But yet, I'm still seeing street theater and gang stalking type things. Whoa. So, but that being said, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, and from what I've gathered, will target people and use the FISA court to facilitate that. Because it's a secret court, they can just make up what information they want. That information goes into that secret court. Nobody can file a Freedom of Information Act on it, and then they pump up the DHS watch list scam. So, and then some of these programs could also be being run in SAPs or USAPs. So the FISA court, if it did not get reinstated, that means that they can't keep using it to add new targets to the list. That doesn't mean that the targeted individual program necessarily, or targeted individual programs are necessarily going to end. That just means that more people won't get targeted. But I really don't know what the status of the FISA court is right now. The last time I checked on that court, too, 10 of the 11 judges in that court were appointed by Obama. So I think to answer your question, if the FISA court goes down, then I don't think any more people will be targeted, but the people that are still targeted will continue to be targeted as long as they're getting funding for these, like InfraGard, Citizen Corps, FBI, SSG, Secret Surveillance Group, the so many different organizations that take part in this Stasi type these Stasi type programs. Mariposa P says people are supposed to be afraid of engines revving. I don't think it's necessarily that you're supposed to be afraid of it. It's part of the noise campaign when there's constantly sirens going off, engines revving, people honking their horns, generators going off near your house. Uh, the moment you wake up, weed whackers, uh, fireworks, all the different things that they do, loud parties next door, all of the different things that they do are meant to keep you in a state of fight or flight, basically, because it's that happening on a 24-hour a day, 7 day a week, 365-year basis isn't a normal environment for you, unless you live in like New York or um, something like that. New York, or just a highly populated area. But it's the timing and the repetition that you're basically supposed to notice and start going, wait a minute, this isn't possible for these things to be happening, especially like some people will notice, since you're being surveilled 24/7, you'll wake up, everything's nice and quiet, and then a minute or two after you wake up, all of a sudden it seems like all hell breaks loose right outside of your house. All the generators fire up, the weed whackers fire up, people with loud cars will start revving their engines right outside your house, and that's supposed to give you a feeling of that you're being watched, and then you go report it to whoever, the police or a psychologist, and then that gives them a perfect opportunity for them to say, oh, well, you have some kind of PTSD, you have some kind of delusion, um, so it's this program is kind of like well, they use race baiting in this program, but it's kind of like race baiting. Somebody will when somebody race baits you, they are trying to make you look like the racist person when actually in reality they're the racist person and they're trying to make you look like the racist one. This is the same thing. They're the crazy people, the sociopathic narcissists, and they're trying to make you look like the crazy one. So it's a big psychological trick, basically. Sorry about the noise on here when I scroll through these comments. I know it's annoying. 777 Lightkeeper asked me if did I ever get the chance to check out the video I told you about underground war happening now by non-patriot crazy. I did not. I did not check that video out. I apologize. Maybe if you could send me the link to that again, I'd appreciate it. Beery Sund says, "Is the cop escorting somebody important?" I don't know. I have no idea who they were escorting. But that's basically how they do it. They do a like a daisy chain. One of the escorts, they're either off-duty police officers or private contractors, and they'll just go from one intersection to the next to block the intersection. That was pretty standard as far as all of the ones I've seen. I've seen a lot in the last couple of years. Jules Tia asks me what is the take on the FISA reauthorization. I haven't gotten confirmation on if the FISA court was reauthorized or not. I heard it was extended for 45 days, then I heard it was extended for 75 days, but I really don't know. Mariposa, you have a bunch of good comments here so far. Yesterday, the president told the doctor, I can't remember his name either, to go back to the deep state when he was having a press conference. That was beautiful. That was awesome. He caught that guy off guard. He wasn't ready for that, and you could see it would look like he almost immediately started to sweat. Like, oh my god, I got called out. And then I don't know if he started laughing out of fear, basically, but he did. I don't know if you guys noticed. He did his little hand signal like a lot of the gang stalkers do. They do their hand signals on their face, do all this different stuff, and it's usually more than just a normal like face scratch, get an itch on your nose or whatever. But it really reminded me of what the gang stalkers do. But that guy got called out right in front of everyone. That was amazing. Our president's awesome. Brenda Ferguson asks, why do I think they targeted me? Well, I've gone through, I think, I don't have proof of this, but I think I've gone through two different types of targeting. Long-term trauma-based mind control to create dissociative identity disorder and turn me into some kind of patsy. Um, Throughout my entire life, when I was talking to Dr. Robert Duncan on a radio show, I asked him, how long do you think this has possibly been going on? You know, my dad worked for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, and he stopped and goes, oh, well, it's obvious why you got targeted. And I think that has something to do with it. A lot of my family members had classified clearances. And then I think I ended up on DHS watch list because after 9/11, I was a fire. Some of you are probably tired of me saying this, but I was a firefighter in California, crash fire rescue, Air National Guard, stayed active duty for 5 years. So I was trained in aircraft fire management, basically, and met some of the firefighters that lived through the attacks. They were flown out to Fresno, and I met some of those guys, and right after that I started waking up, getting red pilled, and realized, you know, I think we get lied to. And then I started talking about different things like Obama. This was a few years after that. Obama, his birth certificate, where it was possibly made, how it was possibly done. Talking about Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve. Different things like that. And the more I posted on social media, the weirder things got. I was in a class called, well, the class didn't have a name, but it was with a guy, former CNN field journalist named Chuck DeCaro. I think Chuck was probably CIA. But Chuck sounds like he's actually, I've listened to some of his recent stuff that he's talked about, and it seems like almost like he's a good guy. I don't know, it's hard to say. But anyway, I was in this class with Chuck DeCaro, and it was researching and investigating videos from the other side. Al Qaeda, basically different terrorist groups that were bombing our troops with IEDs, improvised explosive devices, and we were figuring out their standard operating procedures and how they were using media to sensationalize, to get more out of their attacks, and basically how they were what their standard operating procedures were. So I was part of that video investigation team. or for the training for it. And then part of it was called software, SOFTWAR. And software is basically using social media, multimedia applications to change the enemy's perception of reality. And then I didn't end up on that team full time, which is what I was going for. But right after that class, everything just went batshit crazy. Uh, a lot of weird stuff started happening in my life. Okay, this is almost 40 minutes. I know a lot of people don't. Jules Ti asks who Lockheed Martin is. That's one you should definitely just look up. Lockheed Martin is a big aerospace company, basically, and they've made some of the most amazing aircraft that the world has ever seen. The Blackbird, the SR-71. That's what they called the SR-71, the Blackbird. Uh, the F-22. They made the C-130, the B-1 bomber, the stealth bomber, the stealth fighter. A couple of these airplanes, and like the C-130. They have amazing, but they also have some other compartmentalized programs that I think have to do with this whole targeting thing and social engineering. Jennifer Burns, how you doing if you're still here? Justice League 2AF says, those of us that served under Bush, I noticed, seem to be targeted as Bush family Illuminati have far-reaching ties, want to silence all that served. I agree with that. Actually, one of the times that Air Force One came into our airport, where I worked at the fire station, our station was directly next to the flight line, directly next to the runway, and when Air Force One would come in, we'd get interviewed by the Secret Service, and we would be first responders for Air Force One and the C-5s that landed with all of the entourage and the extra limos and the Secret Service and all that stuff. So I was on duty, literally helping protect Bush at one time. Before I knew any of this stuff, I was just doing my job as a firefighter. I didn't really pay too much attention to politics. I was just waking up at the time. Okay, I'm just trying to get through these comments. I'm passing up some of them. Somebody says, hey, your cam looks very hazy. Yeah, it's probably, I should have read that one earlier. I've been having a lot of problems with this phone lately. Eric Suarez says, don't give your location away. Buddy, if you're targeted, the best thing to do, that they already know, they, in brackets, already know all of your information. Every single thing about you. They took years to gather all that information. And they already know where you live. They already know every detail about your life. It's all in your dossier. So I think, this is just my opinion. I'm not recommending that everyone do this, but My thoughts have been, you know what, these people already know every single thing about me, where I live, what I do every day. Might as well put that information out into the public, and that way, uh, this is on public record. Instead of running away from the fire, walk right into it and hope you come out on the other side. Justice League 2 AF says, hope you consider getting into real estate, get your license, you would be good at it if you have a lot of, and would have a lot of authority and probably get a lot of answers to what's going on and make many allies. I would love to do real estate, and I agree with you. I would be good at it. It's kind of similar to the sales in insurance. I got Agent of the Year with Farmers Insurance Agency, and that's something I thought about doing actually. So thank you for helping confirm, but yeah, I think I would do a good job with that. A couple people that follow me on Twitter are commercial real estate brokers, agents, agency owners, and I listened to what they have to say a little bit. Thought about doing that. I still have a couple suits. All right. Well, there's a lot of comments. Lady Blue, let's see, let's read this one. It says, best to hide in the wide open, keep a smile on, live your life. It's a mind crushing, hope destroying, physically depleting thing to be targeted, but there is life after targeting. Well, good. I hope that targeting will end, but that is absolutely right. That sounds like somebody coming from reality, understanding what targeting's like. It does, it destroys your hope because it's like the harder you fight back, the more you get attacked. And it's trying to teach you to be helpless and hopeless. Deary Sun says they can read your mind. Remote neural monitoring, uh, Neuralink. I mean, Elon Musk talks about it with Joe Rogan recently. Check out Elon Musk's interview with Joe Rogan. And he talks about Neuralink and the progress that they're making. Joe asks him, uh, how much of this can you tell us about right now? He said, well, I don't want to go too far, but there will be some big announcements in the next few months. And I don't know exactly how they do it. A couple of the theories I have are through these cell phone towers, GWEN, all caps, Gwyn towers, and RFID chip implanted in your body, and or mesh in your brain. The Harvard doctor, guy that worked at Harvard recently, he's being investigated, selling technology to China that has to do with mesh implants in people's brain for neural links. So this isn't something we're all just making up and like watched some movie like The Feed and think that we live in a movie. But there's actually people being sued, being indicted for these type of technologies. But yeah, that when somebody says they can read your mind, that's remote neural monitoring. And in my opinion, I think that the remote neural monitoring is used by law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and local law enforcement. And if somebody wants to create a false narrative about the target, They can use the synthetic telepathy, which if information can go out and be neurally monitored, remotely monitored, then that tells you, if you have common sense, that information can go in as well. So if synthetic telepathy is used, which it is, and they want to create a false narrative about you, like you're racist, you choose a certain type of sexuality, you are crazy, whatever, you think all these crazy thoughts, you're dangerous, you're whatever the narrative is they want to create about the targeted individual to the remote neural monitoring, they can insert the synthetic telepathy to alter your remote neural monitoring readouts. So if there's everything that they do in this is compartmentalized. So if there's the compartment, law enforcement, and pre-crime unit, whatever you want to call it, which is one of the things that I don't like that AG Barr is backing up is the pre-crimes laws, because that remote neural monitoring, like I said, can be hacked basically with synthetic telepathy. So there's a false positive or negative in the remote neural monitoring, just like some of these coronavirus tests. They want more people to be tested positive. So if they want more panic, they can just give a false reading and say, "Oh, somebody here got it." You know, like the day after West Virginia put up a banner that said, "West Virginia, no coronavirus." Literally the next day, somebody tested positive for coronavirus in West Virginia because they didn't want people to feel safe there. I believe that they started a case, a false positive, to keep the panic going and to try to tell people, "Oh, nope, you're not safe anywhere." So there's a lot of technology and a lot of psychopaths that are using this technology for social engineering, control, manipulation. They say, the elite say there's order through chaos, and that doesn't mean order in all of society. It means they they keep order through chaos because they keep everybody divided so they can conquer, divide and conquer. Order through chaos isn't for everyone. It's for the people that want to stay in control and keep everybody basically on a treadmill, running around on a wild goose chase, fighting with each other, going down rabbit holes that don't lead to the truth. It's a big smoke and mirrors game, and that's what we're fighting against. What I'm fighting against. Um, what a lot of you are fighting against. What I believe President Trump is fighting against. The deep state and their hidden wisdom, as they call it, their hidden technologies that they use on people that a lot of people that are so far advanced that a lot of people just wouldn't believe it unless it was used on them. This comment says, right, use the masses to keep the ones the government fears ineffective and distracted as they use for test subjects. Absolutely, non consensual human experimentation. A Forgiven 11 says, just really glad you stopped vaping, brother. Sorry, I haven't. Uh, all right, this is almost an hour. Most people don't want to. Yeah, I know. One of those things. Haven't drank in 10 months, 11 months, something like that. Haven't used cannabis, which I'm still an advocate for cannabis. I don't think there's anything wrong with it unless they're putting nanotech in it. But yeah, I haven't drank, haven't smoked any cannabis, which I have a medical card, had a medical card. That would be no problem if I did it. Even though I'm on probation with your medical card, you can still medicate with cannabis, and that actually helps with PTSD and trauma. So, but I decided it was just a good idea. It's kind of expensive. Good idea not to partake and not to drink. Stuff's expensive. All right, everyone. I should go. I see there's 53 people here, 17 thumbs ups, thumbs ups. Uh, all eyes on me. OC says it says in the Bible in Revelations that they will put out multiple viruses. It's amazing how many things are happening right now that are in the book of Revelations. Just read the book. I mean, you can get a Bible anywhere. Read the book of Revelations. Cannabis does seem effective to break mind entrainment, but if you can do without, it's better to be clear headed. Um, I think that sativa actually can make you more clear headed. It depends on your genetic makeup, it depends on your disposition, how your brain functions. It's like anything, it works different for different people. Some people, their brain is constantly racing and they can't slow down, and they just need to slow down to function like a normal person. So an indica would be good for that, and to help with pain, to help with sleep. Uh, but then sativa sometimes helps you focus in and actually gives you energy. Some people are using sativa in sports applications for training. So, like I said, it all depends on the person. Everybody's genetic makeup is different, and different things work for different people. Huh. Something happened to Dr. Horton? Chris, how you doing, Chris? Good to see you, buddy. I haven't talked to you in like I don't know a month or so. I've been thinking about you lately, man. Um, Thinking about what you said about 1871 and a lot of the different things that happen to our government and the corporations, stuff like that. So if you have time later, give me a call because a lot of what you told me, you need a YouTube channel, man. You are one of my smartest friends, most informed, educated friends. But yeah, maybe we could even talk about that. You don't have to show your face or anything, but well, I guess your name is right there. Uh, yeah, one of my old friends from high school is on the live stream right now, and yeah, I'd be curious to see what you're going through in California right now. How thing I've heard you guys are on complete lockdown. Um, yeah, I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna give you a call, buddy. But a lot of what you were telling me about 1871 and our government turning into a corporation, being sold, 1930. I'm going to get some of this wrong. Um, but what you're telling me is being put out by a lot of the Anons, the QAnon researchers. One, What is that guy's name? Oh, damn. The Punisher. The Punisher. But he's been putting out pretty much all of the same information that you were telling me about on the phone, and it matches up perfectly. And then I looked a little bit into it, and it's spot on. The gold stripe around the American flag, the fringe, has to do with maritime law. That fringe, one of the recent speeches that the president did, one of the recent speeches the president gave, I noticed the yellow fringe had been taken off the flag. The corporate seal of the United States, the presidential corporate seal, was taken off of the podium, and it just said White House instead. Um, and so those were some good indicators that some change is actually happening. Road to Prison says, "Who didn't know that the United States of America became incorporated 1871?" I was one of them until not that long ago. I didn't, I did. I knew that our I knew that our country was a corporation, but I didn't know the complete history and all of the details of how it transpired. Corky Goss says, "What do you think of Musk and Neuralink?" He says it's to balance out AI power with human influence for good. BS or smart? I don't think I don't think a hive mind or people being linked together through technology is a good thing at all because, um, well, one, it takes away some people's free will, and then basically, if you step out of line of the group think, the hive mind, they can attack you, and they can use this for control. If you're not one of the yes men, if you're not one of the people that just goes along with everybody else, regardless, then they can use it to target you, to attack you, and blacklist you. Jennifer Burns says, "No one is regulating this AI and technology. It's bad." Yeah, I think you're right. That's why I said when I saw a bunch of military vehicles in Chicago, Illinois, I said, "Hey, what a great place to start. Why don't you guys shut down the quantum computer while you're there?" Uh, in Chicago, outside of Chicago, there's a huge quantum computer, and I can't remember the name of it right now, of course, but I think that's the type of computer that would run the AI for these type of programs. Okay, so here's my buddy Chris from California saying, "We are in martial law pretty much. I am still working as important I'm still working as an important service provider. Cali is closed." You guys have the most indictments. I think California has more indictments than anyone. So I hope they clean that place up and you guys can get back to business under a free state instead of a communist state or a totalitarian state with weaponized systems, more weaponized systems in California than I think just about anywhere. Well, I wish you the best, man. If you need to get out of there, you're welcome to come visit me. Okay, I've said a couple times I'm going to end this live stream, but there was a bunch of good comments. So thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. It's good to have these kind of conversations and brainstorm with everybody, talk about new things. If I'm talking about something you already knew about 10 years ago that I didn't know about or other people didn't know about, Just understand that not everybody knows about everything. People have different experiences, different expertise in certain areas, and those people coming together in citizen journalist forums like this are the way that we brainstorm and figure out new information. I've learned a lot of new things. I learn something new every day. I just learned yesterday that a local police officer cannot arrest a sheriff, and not that that's too important for me personally, but um, I never knew that. Something I saw in social media, and yeah, every new piece of information is good to know. All right, thanks everybody for showing up. 45 people here right now. It's my favorite number. I just turned 45. Uh, so, all right, I'm going to get out of here. And, oh, okay. Okay, Road to Prison says, damn it, I keep saying I'm going to get out of here, but that's good information right there. It says the Harvard professor you speak of was arrested yesterday, and the Department of Justice had a news conference about it. Awesome. If you could maybe send a link to that, I'll try to look it up. I don't know his name, but send a link maybe in the comments after I log out here. Um, I'd like to check because there's from Harvard to do with social engineering and mind control and all kinds of stuff. That's where Dr. Robert Duncan graduated from. That worked as a contractor for the CIA and for DARPA. That created a lot of this neural tech that a lot of us are dealing with. You know, voice to skull, which I don't get. But Harvard, 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 over and over. Road to Prison says they're going to be mass producing quantum computers now. If you haven't heard, I have not heard. I don't think I like that though. Um, well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Saturday. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you all soon.